Hello my dear friends, you're in the Military Summary channel. In this short video we're going to discuss the most important events that took place during the previous night at the local time. And this morning, of course, we have a lot of very interesting details and updates, so let's start. First, let's talk about the Borderlands, because yesterday, if you remember, there was a short operational pause in the area. The Ukrainians for some reasons decided not to continue offensive, maybe they were regrouping after suffering significant losses. And today, this morning on the 16th of March, we start receiving updates that Ukrainians renewed their offensive. They have started bombing and attacking with drones the town by the name of Tyotkina and Kursk region, and of course the most fierce clashes are taking place in Belgorod region, to be more precise in Grayvoron area. The Ukrainians launched an offensive operation. The clashes renewed in the village by the name of Spodarushna. Probably today we're going to receive more updates and details about the area, about the situation in the area, so let's wait. For now we don't have any geolocations, but very likely something big is going to happen. During the previous days the Russians continue bombing and attacking the deep rear. For example, in this video we can see another destroyed building in Zolochiv. Probably the Russians managed to discover another concentration of Ukrainian forces and to destroy it. Furthermore, we got the video from the Vovchansk area. On this video, for example, we can see how the Russians managed to discover another Ukrainian Vampire multi-launch rocket system, and as a result of counter-artillery strike, maybe with Iskander or Tornado S system, the Ukrainian Vampire was destroyed. I remind you that Vampires is the Czech production multi-launch rocket systems, and Czech is the ally of France regarding the question of sending forces to Ukraine, and they are saying that we should remove every single red line in, let's say, relations with Russia when talking about Czech Republic. And using Vampires, the Ukrainians were bombing and attacking the civilians in Belgorod. Significant losses and damage they managed to deal. But today the Minister of Defense of Russian Federation also reported and gave us additional information about the situation on the ground. Today there was a meeting between Minister of Defense Shoigu and, let's say, some officers, and they reported that during the previous 24 hours, not 24 hours, during the previous weeks, the Russians managed to destroy at least 3 Patriot systems. On this video we can see another 2 Patriot systems that were destroyed as a result of Iskander strike. Maybe this is the video of the previous Patriot system that was destroyed a few days ago. And on this video we can see how the Russians using Lancet destroyed Panzer 2000. And in the final let's say episodes, we can see how the Russians were destroying Vampires multi-launch rocket system. This is Vampire, and the Russians, so this is Vampire, yes, and the Russian, and also not just Vampire but also ammo depot, and as a result of Iskander strike the entire base was destroyed. Furthermore, the Russians are saying that during the previous week the Russians managed to discover the concentration of Kraken special forces, and as a result of Iskander strike up to 300 soldiers of this group were destroyed. Furthermore, the Ukrainians this morning start bombing and attacking regarding the Russian success and results in counter-artillery duels with Chechen Western weapon. The Ukrainians renewed their bombings of Belgorod. We see a few first explosions. Currently we don't have updates about the losses among civilians, but obviously the 16th of March is going to be a very hot day. Not so hot as tomorrow, the 17th of March, the final day of elections, but very hot. Now we're moving further, and we're moving to the situation on the ground on other front lines. And first, let's talk about Bakhmut-Ivanovska, Bakhmut-Artyomovsk direction. We still haven't received any confirmation about the Russian progress to the south of Ivanovska or in Ivanovska itself. But today we got a very interesting video from Ivanovska, Klishevka area. Today the Ukrainian sources, to be more precise, the forces of 80th Air Assault Brigade, probably what this is one, 80th Air Assault Brigade in combination with 93rd or 92nd Brigade, to be precise, I can't remember for sure, 92nd Brigade, together 80th and 92nd Assault Brigade, published the video how they managed to repel another Russian attack from Bakhmut to Klishevka. So the Russians, after they managed to say develop their positions in the vicinity of Ivanovsk, after they bombed and attacked the Ukrainian forces in Klishevka and the northern front lines, northern, let's say, footholds, they concentrated a significant number of armored vehicles, personnel carriers, and start attacking the Ukrainian positions. The Ukrainians, to be more precise, the forces of 80th Air Assault Brigade, managed to discover the movements and redeployment of Russian forces, and the Ukrainians start bombing and attacking the Russians on their way. We can see the number of destroyed vehicles. Lots of them were destroyed, as you can see, and the Ukrainians are saying that they managed to repel that attack, but currently I can't, let's say, give you 100% confirmation that it's true or not, because the Russians were using significant number of armored vehicles, up to 10, so most likely lots of them managed to, let's say, say, bypass the Ukraine defense belt and probably to dig in deeper into Ukraine defense belt. So today we're going to see obviously more updates, and probably the Russians managed to improve their positions in the vicinity of Klishchiivka. So according to geolocations of Ukrainian strikes, the Russians were attacking like something like this, and very likely they were trying to attack like this way. So attack the Klishchiivka from the north, and most of, let's say lots of armored vehicles were destroyed somewhere in this area. So we're expecting additional updates from the territory, obviously. Now we are moving to Avdiivka direction. We continue receiving updates after the Russians managed to establish the control over these intersections of roads in Semyonovka. The situation start getting worse and worse for the Ukrainian, much faster than it used to be. Today we got additional reports that the Russians, after they established control of this intersection, after the Russians improved their positions in the northern part of Orlovka, the Russians, and we yesterday discussed about the Russian attempts to attack these fields, and today we start receiving additional updates from different mappers that the Russians managed to completely improve their position there, and this information was confirmed by the pro-Ukrainian mappers Deep State. So let's say if we summarize everything, the Russians by the morning of 16th of March managed to establish complete control over this territory, and this information mostly confirmed by the pro-Ukrainian mappers Deep State. So significant results. The Ukrainians basically started withdrawing, they start retreating towards Semyonovka, because now they understand after the loss of the intersection of road, very high chances that they might appear in some kind of a cauldron. Furthermore, we got additional updates on the vicinity of Toninka with some mappers. So as the state confirms, the Russians entered the northern part, and when talking about this part of the line of combat contact, we can say that according to the different Ukrainian pro-Ukraine mappers, this is approximately the current control of the Russian forces. So just a few streets and buildings left under Ukrainian control on the northwestern part, and the clashes started in the western farms. Today the Ukrainian sources published the video of FPV drones counter strikes against another Russian convoy with armed vehicles and infantry heading along the southern trenches. We see the Ukrainian FPV drones attacking the Russian personnel carriers, let's say armored vehicles and infantry. This video first of all controls that the Russians managed to penetrate the Ukrainian defense belt, and that the Russians managed to half encircle the farms from the south. So if we turn back to the video, the Russians were moving something like this. They were moving along this road. They were moving like here, like this. And in this area, the Russians landed the infantry, and the Ukrainians were attacking the Russians with FPV drones from the northern direction, so something like this. And so this was the situation. Anyway, if this information confirmed, and if the Russians manage to dig in deeper, very likely the Ukrainians will be forced to fall back from the farms as well towards the northern part, northwestern part, and then this is going to be the end of the battle for this defense belt, and the clashes will move to the Ukrainian side of Durna River in direction of the cities like Kumanska, like Semyonovka, and further Yasnobrodovka, and further. So the situation is getting worse and worse for the Ukrainians, as you can see. When talking about Novomikhailivka, the Russians continue storming and bombing the area with stealth and tower systems. This video first of all confirms the, let's say, approximately the edge Ukrainian positions in the city. Very likely today we're going to receive more updates as well. So the president elections are coming to an end. After the end of elections, few days, and the Russians will start probably something very big. And more details and updates are coming from Rabotina area. According to information we have, the Russians managed to improve their positions in the vicinity of Verbova. An additional, let's say, 1 kilometer was improved towards the fields, so something like this. Obviously today we're going to receive more updates from the territory as well. So this is the situation, and today we got additional details from Odessa strike, and today the Zelensky himself commented the situation with strikes, telling that those were unfair strikes. He was saying that after the first strike, when the most let's say number of officers and soldiers from assault brigades were destroyed, the ambulance and, let's say, rescue groups arrived to try to save wounded and so on, evacuate wounded, and then the Russians made another strike, and after the destroyed of officers and soldiers of, let's say, storm brigades, the Russians also destroyed evacuation groups. So there were 2 strikes, and that was the reason why Zelensky called those attacks unfair. So we'll see what is going to be next, but as I understand, that was a meeting of stormtroopers, of storm brigades that Ukrainians probably were planning to use, let's say, to start landing operation either in Kherson or maybe in Crimea. You remember that Budanov announced a possible operation, so maybe those were the final, let's say, meeting of the officers before the beginning of those operations. And we have very funny video of mobilization process. On this video we can see the Ukrainian officer who was trying to mobilize another Ukrainian, I don't know how to call this guy, but this Ukrainian wasn't afraid of this Ukrainian, and he started mobilizing himself maybe for making him a civilian or something like this. And that's it for the short video. Military Summary channel reminds you to condemn any violence in the world. Thank you for watching. Subscribe to my channel, put your likes, join my Patreon, and have a good day. Bye bye.